right, welcome back to One True Podcast. With me, as always, is Zach Smith. Zach, how are you?
It's a great day. Get to talk some football. You know, I was talking to Jerry Hill, the Baylor Bear Insider, earlier this week, and he brought up for some godforsaken reason the first time that we did a podcast against an FCS, previewing an FCS team, and you made us do Long Island accents. So I know this team is from Alabama. Please, no Southern accents. Just don't.
I love
I still
it.
get anxiety over that.
You're tempting me. And of course, this is where we always introduce our guest, but our guest needs no introduction. He's the voice of the Bears, the one you know and love, John Morris. J-Mo, good to have you with us.
You had me at Southern accents. Glad to be on with you guys. Jerry was telling me that story, and he said, Zach, you especially had a pretty good New York.
He did. He used the hands real well. He was like, "Hey, I'm walking here."
I mean, I am the northerner of the group now, so
Right.
you know, I know Michigan, and that's Midwest. I should be Midwest nice instead of, you know, New York a-hole. But you know,
Ouch.
Yeah.
You're gonna alienate our New York listeners on the podcast.
First time.
Well, guys, Baylor had a good reason to flip out after Saturday's win in Dallas, 48-45, a double overtime victory. It was the Bears' first win over a top 25 opponent since Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl to end the 2021 season. That was January 1st, 22. And of course, it came in remarkable fashion. Bears trailed by 2 touchdowns with about 8 minutes and change left. They erased that deficit. They win it in double OT. So what are your biggest takeaways from this game for Baylor, whether it's good, bad, ugly, otherwise? I don't know.
Zach?
I mean, for me, as the more I watch that game, the more, like, I know the offense is probably, it got all the headlines, got all the shine, like Sawyer is a legit Heisman candidate, all of that. And I, like, yes, the offense shined, but the more I watch that game and kind of think back to it and rewatch and all of it, the defense, you know, as much as we have skewered them this week and in week, you know, since the beginning of the year, it really, when it counted most, I think what Dave Aranda, he proved that he could make an adjustment and the defense could make an adjustment and get a stop when they needed it most. I think Kevin Jennings and the SMU offense is really good, you know, and when they got the stop when they needed to in the fourth quarter and in the third quarter and in overtime, and like as many bad things that the defense has done this season, giving up big plays, allowing a lot of points, you know, to me, they made an adjustment when they needed to, and you know, it really showed. And that's kind of, yes, Sawyer brought them back offensively, but the defense, you're not winning that game without the defense getting stops when they need to.
Ooh, that's really good. And you wouldn't think that, you know, in a game when you gave up 45 points, you know, but they had the stop. Jacob Redding with the interception. What a great story he is, you know, former walk-on, gets the interception and snuffs out that drive for SMU. But then the stops that they had, and I think Kevin Jennings is really good, the quarterback for SMU. And they did have 2 long pass completions, 75-yarders for touchdowns, but one of those was kind of a not a fluke. I mean, he caught it, but it was kind of a freaky play with it in that it was tipped, and he caught it on the first play of the game. But I'm encouraged by what I saw from the defense in that game against a good opponent like SMU, and then certainly the offense and Sawyer Robertson sort of speaks for themselves.
You know, and J-Mo can remember these teams well, but in the Briles days, I think that the Baylor defense was a little underrated. And that Phil Bennett defense kind of concentrated on trying to get takeaways and not worrying that much about how many yards they were giving up in a game. And I think that the Big 12 has kind of cycled back to those old shootout days, like the quarterbacks in this league are insane right now. And so I think, you can't necessarily get too hung up on like how many yards you're giving up when you're facing these kind of explosive offenses.
Mm-hmm.
But, takeaways are important, getting some stops here and there, some timely stops. And I agree with y'all. I do think the defense made some baby steps in the second half. They still have, I wrote it, they still have a ways to go, but yeah, there was a lot to like. And obviously offensively, there's a lot to like about what Baylor's doing. The Bears are averaging 542 yards a game. That's tied for 13th nationally. Zach mentioned Sawyer Robertson popping up on Heisman lists. Certainly warranted. He's playing as well as any quarterback in the country. J-Mo, you've seen a lot of Baylor football over the years and some high-powered offenses. Where does this one stack up in your mind? And also, how does Sawyer compare to maybe the RG3s, the Nick Florences, the Bryce Pettys of the world?
Yeah. Good question, but that's a hard question to answer.
Especially this early in the season.
It's early in the year. It's 2 games in, yes. But Sawyer, with what he's done so far, is just off to a terrific start. We'll say that for sure. I tried to think back, and I actually looked back to Rob's first 2 games his junior year. And he didn't have a senior year here because he left after his junior year. And the first game he had was that big win over TCU. Remember that, 50-48. Season opening win, huge win for Baylor. He threw for 395 yards, I think, in the game. And Baylor scored 50 points, so that was big. The next week was kind of an anomaly because it was Stephen F. Austin, and that storm came through, and there was a big delay in the game, and they shortened the third and fourth quarters, and then actually ended the game after 3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers, aren't going to get to that level for Rob in his second game. But I was just trying to do a comparison to first 2 games of his junior year compared to first 2 games of Sawyer's senior year, which we've seen now. And it's different. It's a different offense. There's similarities, but it's a different offense. And I would like for Sawyer's numbers and what he has done so far to kind of stand on their own and not necessarily compare it to Rob or Nick or Seth or Brice or anybody like that. I mean, it's natural to do that because those quarterbacks put up some eye-popping numbers, but I'd like for Sawyer's to kind of stand on their own, at least right now.
No, that's completely fair. Zach, give us the stat that you saw the other day on Sawyer. Since 2000.
Since 2000, he's the 3rd quarterback in the country to, have over 800 yards and 7 touchdowns with no interceptions through the first 2 games of the season. And the 2 other ones are, Texas Tech, Mike Leach, pass it all the time kind of quarterback. So, yeah, pretty dang good.
And make that point, 0 interceptions.
Zero interceptions.
Right.
That's one reason why I say he's playing as well as anybody, because he's also protecting the ball. I get what you're saying, J-Mo, in terms of like letting him stand on his own. That's completely fair. Here's where I do get Brile's offense era vibes from this team, and that's in their ability to score quickly. They can carve up, it may be a little bit different way that they carve up the field, but they erased a 14-point deficit in 8 minutes and end up winning the game. And that last 2-minute drive was an absolute thing of beauty. And it was like, Montana stuff, or Tom Brady, it was beautiful, just the way he picked the defense apart.
Right. It really was. And there was no panic. They were in a hurry. They were running the hurry up, 2-minute, but they didn't seem rushed at all, did they? I mean, they seemed very much in control, just driving it down the field. That was an 82-yard drive to win it, or I guess to tie it in the fourth quarter.
Nice. Yeah, good stuff.
Before we move on, one more question. I mean, I know I haven't been around as much, but like, to me, Sawyer, off the field from a leadership perspective, is one of the most incredible like athletes that I have ever been around. Because like I feel like everybody on the team, whether you're defense, offense, special teams, support staff, everyone like wants to play for that guy, and his ability to kind of bring everyone together is just incredible. And I don't know, I know mostly I've been around a lot of high school athletes, some college athletes. Where does he, I mean, he's got to be up there in terms of his leadership capabilities and just, making people want to play together, right?
I would say yes. I mean, a lot of those other guys we mentioned have had those same qualities. I mean, you think about Rob, he was a great leader, and Brice was too, and Nick and Seth, and I'm leaving guys out, and those are just the quarterbacks, but those guys were great leaders. But Sawyer definitely fits in that group with the way he has the respect of his teammates and the way he leads.
And I thought it was telling after the game when Dave Aranda said, I hope Baylor doesn't take Sawyer Robertson for granted. That
right.
We have Sawyer Robertson at Baylor. And I think that's a fair point. Like, this is a special, special guy. They don't just, grow on trees, these kind of guys, in terms of both who he is as a person and who he is as a player. So yeah, Baylor enjoys Sawyer Robertson. This is his last year. So yeah, he's doing some special things. So this week, guys, Baylor hosts Samford from the Southern Conference, right? Did I get that?
SoCon.
In the final non-conference game. No offense to Samford, but this sets up as a game that Baylor probably should win comfortably. I kind of envision Baylor running the ball a little bit more than it has the last two games, just because I don't expect Baylor to be trailing on the scoreboard like it was these other two games. And perhaps some of the backups might get some playing time if all goes to plan. What does Baylor most need to accomplish in this game in your mind? I mean, other than just a win.
I would say a win, number one. That's the bottom line, get a win. But I would say also, I mean, look at who Texas Tech has played the first 2 weeks. And, they're similar, I would say, similar type opponents to Baylor playing Samford, but they played well. They played clean. They've done what they should do. That's what I'd like to see from Baylor. Go out, play clean, don't get anybody hurt, and just be impressive and be crisp in everything that they do. And you mentioned running the ball better. I mean, that's got to be a goal. Baylor has to be able to run the ball better, I think, this week and certainly moving forward.
Yeah, I'm curious to see some of the, like you mentioned, hopefully some backups. See if we get Joseph Dodds in the mix, and who's the backup quarterback. It'll probably be Walker White if I had to guess, but I'm curious to see what the kind of the reserves on offense have. But I'm again focusing on the defense. I think Samford, for all the FCS opponents out there, kind of offers Baylor a unique challenge in that their coach, Chris Hatcher, comes from the Hal Mummy tree, like this offensive genius, right? And so they like to throw the ball. They like to put up a lot of yards. And they have a quarterback, Quincy Crittenden, who's, been around. This is his 5th year. He played against North Dakota State in the FCS playoffs. And he's a true dual threat guy. He can sling it. He can run it. And so I think, again, this offers Baylor a unique chance to maybe not play against the type of level as Auburn, like John mentioned, but kind of test some of those weaknesses that have kind of shown themselves in the first 2 weeks of the season.
So Zach knew where I was going with my little comment about no offense to Samford, J-Mo, but
yeah.
So that was a little wink, a little callback. So before the game against Auburn, I wrote a story talking about how Baylor opened with 2 power conference opponents. And, this was a great opportunity for the Bears to kind of prove themselves against some other, really good competition. And the line in my, probably the lead of the story was, no offense to Samford, but a game against Auburn just means more.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Which you've used before, but this account that covered Samford, it was so funny. Zach came across it. It was a tweet, and they retweeted that story, and they said, "Well, offense taken, Waco Tribune-Herald."
Offense taken.
And I talked to him yesterday.
That's so funny.
And he was like, "Yeah, we know where we're at. We know what to expect in this game. They're going to Texas A&M later in the season, so I think they know exactly what to expect in this game."
Yeah, I'm probably still gonna milk that line a little longer.
At least it makes us laugh. That's all that matters.
It does. So guys, around the Big 12, it was kind of a mixed bag in week 2 of results. You had some good wins for the conference, most notably that Baylor win over SMU. That's a good one, especially when you're talking about a Mustang team that went to the college football playoff a year ago. You had Iowa State edging out Iowa in the Cy-Hawk game. But there were also some bad losses for the Big 12, including, it's not an easy place to go and play in Starkville, but Arizona State lost at Mississippi State. Tough game there. K-State falls to Army, and West Virginia stumbled against Ohio. It's obviously early, but it doesn't feel to me like the conference is doing itself any favors in terms of building a case to put at least 2 teams in the CFP. What do y'all say?
Zach?
You're right. It is so early, and some of these teams I think are going to get better. Texas Tech looks pretty good. I know John mentioned that they haven't necessarily played the hardest competition, but I can't see. I think that experiment is working, or has the trends of working, and I think that Iowa State, I'm never going to doubt Matt Campbell. I really think that if they can kind of shore up that back into the defense, they can go places. But I really go back to Texas Tech, and I think because Texas Tech and Baylor do not play each other during the regular season, which is a whole other can of worms. But if Baylor and Texas Tech can kind of keep doing what they're doing, there's a chance that they're both 10-2 or 9-3, and they meet in Arlington, and for lack of a better purpose, they could both be in the playoff even if they both meet in Arlington. So I think it's going to take 2 of these teams that don't play each other, that are both really good, kind of continuing that trend and meeting it if you want to play 2 teams in the college football playoff.
Yeah. Brice, you're right. It was not a good Saturday. It was a mixed bag, but it was not a good Saturday for the league, considering Arizona State was the highest ranked Big 12 school at number 12, and they lose on the road. The league was 10-5 overall, 3-4 against Power 4 schools. So it was not a good Saturday. And it's so much, I think we being the Big 12, what we always fight is perception, national perception. And here's these matchups, and Arizona State comes up short. And it's not just the, Army sneaking up on Kansas State, but it's that kind of matchup, Arizona State, Mississippi State, that has a lot of eyeballs on it. Well, the Big 12 couldn't get it done, so I think we're fighting that. And there's a long way to go, but I thought we sort of took a step backwards last week.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when the opportunities are there, you have to seize them if you're the Big 12, just right. Because I completely agree with you, J-Mo, that you're fighting perception. There's no question that around the country, the SEC and the Big Ten are looked at as, the 2 big dogs, and then there's everybody else. And I think you see it in the rankings. Right now, Iowa State's probably the highest ranked team at 14. Yeah. And I think all of us would agree that Iowa State's looking pretty good. They're looking pretty impressive. Do they belong in the top 10? Maybe, but this is what the Big 12 fights. And so you do have to seize those opportunities. It is a long season. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, the Big 12 needs to take advantage of those times when they can. I don't think anyone was expecting West Virginia to be in the mix, in the conversation for, a college football playoff spot. But Arizona State, yeah, that was definitely a bad loss for the league because, as J-Mo mentioned, you're talking about the highest ranked team, the team that made the playoff last year, and all of that. So, yeah.
Here's another thing before you move on. This is the time to do that, to kind of, plant your flag a little bit when we're playing these non-conference games, where in a week or two, or a couple of 3 weeks, we're going to be playing each other and beating each other up. And then, then you don't have those opportunities like we have right now, like Arizona State against Mississippi State, like Baylor and SMU. You're not going to have that many of those more opportunities moving forward.
Yeah, and to a certain point, perception is reality, because look at SMU. So the Ponies were number 17 in the country. Baylor beats them 48-45. Epic game. It's a road win for Baylor.
Yeah.
And then the rankings come out, and SMU has more votes than Baylor. And this kind of thing actually bothers me as someone who votes in the AP men's basketball poll. Okay, so like if we were 8-10 games into the year and you're talking about a body of work, maybe a head-to-head result isn't the be-all end-all, but I don't know how you can't look at a head-to-head result and still vote SMU ahead of Baylor. Like 2 games into the year, that makes no sense to me, but it shows that where you're ranked really matters. Baylor had more to climb, and if they keep winning, I think the Bears will make the top 25 and all of that. But yeah, that just, I don't know, that irks me as a voter in the basketball poll. I really try to look at those head-to-head matchups and go, well, this team beat this team, so all things being equal, let's vault them above the team they beat. I mean, I think that's only fair. But anyway,
one more thing about the whole perception and reality thing. I do kind of give Brett Yormark some credit here in terms of getting the Big 12's name out there and maybe trying some new things. And I know you have to win games, and losing to Mississippi State and Mike Gundy losing to Oregon like they did doesn't help. But doing things like partnering with Barstool Sports and doing things like, giving up the WWE belts. People are talking about that. People are talking about the Big 12. And, when it comes to attention, we're in an attention society. I think that probably, in a weird way, helps with the polls in some odd way.
Yeah, the little drummer boys always trying to get that young hip market out there. That's what I always called your Mark, the little drummer boy. John Werner loved it when I called him that because he was in a garage band. He was a drummer in a garage band back in the day.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, Baylor does have an advocate on the CFP committee. Now, I'm sure when those conversations come up, he has to remove himself from the proceedings. We're talking about Mac Rhodes, of course. Pretty cool deal for Mac. I mean, to be on that committee, and not only to be on it, but to be the chair this year.
That's a neat deal. I mean, it won't help Baylor in the discussions because he has to step out of the room, when Baylor is discussed. And I hope there are discussions about Baylor. How about this week, Baylor and Samford. So Mac is the chairman of the CFP, and Martin Newton is the AD at Samford. He's the son of C.M. Newton. You remember C.M. Newton, the great coach, Kentucky, Alabama, and other places. But he will be the chairman for the basketball committee, not this year, but next year. So how about that? 2 ADs in the building will be, over the next couple of years, chairman for the football and the basketball committees.
So we know who to bring our complaints to.
Remember that name.
Remember those names. I do have Mac's cell phone number. All right, good stuff. So J-Mo, our tradition at the end is always to do a little culinary corner where we talk a little food. Obviously, we live in Waco and we know where to eat here. But here's what I wanted to get your thoughts on. Okay. So this year at our Monday press conferences with Dave Aranda, we've had some variety.
That's right.
We always called it Rudy's Monday before, because we always had Rudy's every Monday and it was good. No complaints. I wasn't complaining. This year we've had a little variety. Did you have a favorite thus far? I may be calling you out. I don't know if there's like an advertiser out there, but
Rudy,
like what's the
coaches show tonight?
What's been your favorite thus far?
Well, Rudy's is my favorite, but other than that, the ones we've had so far, the La Madeleine on Monday of this week was sneaky good. I've been there to eat before. Terry and I have been there to eat, and it's good. I mean, I think they've got a really good menu, but I had this chicken Caesar sandwich that was really good on Monday. I went home and told Terry about it. So that one would be, nothing against the others, but that would be the leader for me through the first 3 weeks.
Zach?
Here's my food question my favorite so far has definitely been Nukes, weirdly. I thought that was it was a change and it was really good. Here's my food question for JMO. I had Double R burgers for the first time not too long ago. But I had the take also that I kind of liked Health Camp better than Double R, which
I feel like is a hot take.
Seemed to ruffle some feathers. So I know there's other burgers out there. Cups, correct? That's one. I haven't had all of the burgers in Waco yet. What is your favorite burger in Waco?
Oh,
Put me on the spot.
There are a lot that I like. This is different than those places you named, but the Brazos Landing has an Akaushi burger, and it is so good. I mean, it is so good. But among those you named, Double R would be my spot. I like those guys, David and Shine. I like those guys, and that's it's just that's a really good spot.
Of the hole in the wall,
yeah,
burger joints, I agree with you. I like Double R, but here's where I'll go. Brazos Landing is a good answer. I don't think there's a better burger in my mind than in Waco than Cafe Homestead.
Great place.
Yeah, it is a great place. Everything they have out there is really good, and they have a burger. What is that one called? It's like a quesadilla burger or something. It's like in a tortilla, and it's got this kind of ranch sauce on it, chipotle ranch, and of course everything out there is like from the farm. It was dead an hour ago.
Great.
Or was living an hour ago. So the freshness you can really taste, and that is nice. So I need to get out to Cafe Homestead more often. A little bit of a hike out there, but not.
And let me add this, Zach. Somebody told me, and I haven't had it, but somebody told me there's a burger at Hellberg's that is to die for. So I need to, next time I go there, I need to try that. And I'll do it for you guys, okay?
Love it.
True journalism.
Yes.
Well, JMO, we will see you at the game on Saturday. Probably see you before then, but thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Thank you for the invitation. We can't skip by your opening question, your opening comment about Baylor flipping to the win, okay? We want to make sure people understand the reference there.
Yes. So after the game, and I was watching as it unfolded. Couple of players, Ashton Hawkins, was Cole Wilson the other one?
Cole Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, Ashton Hawkins and Cole Wilson they ran over toward SMU's sideline, and they're just, I think caught up in the spirit of it all. Maybe the Holy Ghost got them, but they just start flipping. Back flips, front flips, and full pads.
Pretty amazing.
Quite impressive. And then after the game, I asked Josh Cameron and Sawyer Robertson about it, and I said, first of all, did you guys see that? And I don't think they did. And secondly, are you capable of such acrobatics? And Josh Cameron's comment was, "I've never done a flip in my life, and I'm not about to start now." But shout out to Ashton for that. And then I loved Sawyer's comment. He was just like, I'm good. I'm good on flips.
Right.
So Baylor fans, you can breathe easy. Your quarterback that is
Right.
among the Heisman guys. He's not going to be trying any flips anytime soon.
And I didn't take it as they ran toward the SMU bench to do that. I didn't take it that way. I hope SMU didn't take it that way. I thought they were they were fired up, and they happened to run onto the field, and they kind of ran that direction. But I didn't take it as they were running and doing that in SMU's face.
Yeah, maybe not. They were just, it was just sort of on that side of the field.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you haven't,
some hops, man.
They did. It was truly impressive. I've seen some high school kids do that before, but nevertheless, it's impressive anytime you see it. If you haven't seen it, on wacotrib.com, I'll give a little shout out. One of our freelance photographers, Chris Jones, who's at a lot of games, he got a great picture of I think it was Cole in midair. And it's just incredible. He's really up there high, and everybody else is just celebrating and hugging, and he's like in the air flipping. So it's a pretty cool shot. Nice. All right. Well, we'll see y'all at the games. J-Mo, thanks again, buddy.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. See you guys soon.
See ya.
Welcome back to One True Podcast. My guest today, Grant Gardner. He covers Samford University for State of the Bulldogs. Been there doing for a couple of years. Grant, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty well, Zach. Thanks for having me. Excited to Samford play one of their 2 bye games this year. First one Baylor, then Texas A&M at the end of the year. So we got this one first, then we'll worry about the other one later.
And you're getting the full Big 12 experience.
Exactly,
you get the full, even if Baylor doesn't get to face Texas Tech, you get the full Butt Bowl experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
So Samford, I guess straight up, tell me about Samford. Who are some of the players that I think Baylor fans should look out for, and I guess who are some players and guys that we should know going into this game?
Yeah, this is pretty interesting because Samford only returned 4 starters from a season ago. They lost guys in the portal on defense to Houston, another starting corner at Temple, Eastern Michigan, New Mexico State. So you go down the list, this is the most turnover that they've had pretty much. It's a young team overall, but they've got some senior leaders, and it starts with Quincy Crittenden, quarterback. This is second year as a full-time starter. His actually first claim to fame was he had to pitch in 2022 in the first overtime of our season clinching regular season game in 2022 to help Samford win the SoCon title. So that was his first kind of action. And he started that first playoff game, which was the win over Southeast Louisiana. Then he had to start against North Dakota State. How about that for your second career start going in the Fargo Dome against North Dakota State? So yeah, that was pretty wild. So yeah, he's been around a while. He's a true dual threat quarterback. So he has his senior leader. He started as a walk-on, so now he's been a full scholarship guy ever since that 2022, his freshman season. So yeah, he's one to watch for. Then on defense, senior leader over there is Jaden Mosley, middle linebacker, number 5. He gets to wear what Samford calls their Charles Williams Memorial jersey. It's like LSU wears the number 18. They give it out every year. Samford does the same thing. They're number 5. So he's Samford's senior leader, middle linebacker. He takes over for a guy, Noah Martin, last year, who's an all-conference, all-American guy. So Mosley will be one to watch on defense. So those are kind of the top 2 leaders and 2 of the 4 returning starters from a season ago.
That's insane. 4 returning starters. That's welcome to the transfer portal. Welcome to that era. It seems like listening to Coach Hatcher, listening to his press conference from earlier today, it seems like, he's excited for games like this.
Yeah.
For the players to get to maybe show out on a bigger stage in a big stadium, all that. What is Coach Hatcher like? Because he's been around for a minute. Obviously, he's won plenty. How would you describe him as a coach and kind of as a leader for this team?
Well, he's going into his 11th year, like we said before we started recording. Pretty wild that he's going into his 7th year. He traced all the way back. I think Dave Aranda mentioned his presser knowing him from when Dave was at Delta State and Hatcher was at Valdosta. And then 5 years before that, Hatcher he hired Kirby Smart to be his defensive coordinator in 2000. So he's got that. And so his 2001 staff at Valdosta State, he had Kirby as his DC, and then Will Muschamp was on staff as well. So a pretty wild connection when you go all the way back to D2 ball and how we kind of got to this point. And Samford got to play at Georgia, so and a couple years ago, so actually their championship season. So Hatcher got to go over there and join Kirby. That was pretty fun. But Hatcher's kind of he's a true offensive genius. So the Hatchet tag, as you call it, an air raid principle. He comes from the Hal Mummy, Mike Leach tree, Sonny Dykes tree. So his roots are pretty deep inside the state of Texas. He played for Hal Mummy at Valdosta and then coached with Leach and Sonny Dykes. So his roots are pretty deep in the state of Texas when it comes to the guys that are coaching there now, obviously. But yeah, a good offensive mind that's kind of been Samford's identity over the past pretty much his whole tenure, other than that very first year.
I mean, is it a fun offense to watch? I think they put up 450 yards last week against the Citadel. I mean, only scored 13 points, but
right, yeah.
450 yards. I mean, so it's fun. Got to be fun to watch, right?
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Especially with this added motion or added wrinkle with Crittenden kind of being more of a dual threat guy, maybe legs first and then arm second. But it's kind of a different kind of style of quarterback that Hatcher's had in the past. He's had a Devlin Duck Hodges who got some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the guy where he's like running was basically not an option. We're just going to throw 80, 85 times a game. So yeah, pretty exciting. So they're fast paced, high tempo, try to move the ball, get the ball to your hands quick, super fast. So it is super fun to watch when it's working and clicking and everything is working when it comes to short passes and yards after catch, kind of get the momentum kind of offense going, getting down the field.
Well, I'll say this, Baylor has not fared well. I know it's only 2 games into the season.
Yeah.
They have not fared well in stopping running quarterbacks. First off, Jackson Arnold just put up monster numbers against this defense. And then last week, Kevin Jennings, you know, they held him a little bit more in check, but you know, so if Quincy has any chance, they're going to run a lot. So I would not be surprised to see him kind of go off on the ground there. But yeah, should be an interesting watch. Where do you think this game fits into the narrative of the season, if there is one? You know, 2 games in, 2 losses. Like you mentioned, this is one of their bye games. I don't really expect. I think Baylor is probably going to win this game.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
But like in the overall growth of the season and the story of the season, what do you think they're hoping to achieve?
I think Coach Hatcher mentioned it, or he's mentioned it in the past, and he mentioned it as presser today. Just guys getting to enjoy that kind of environment. A lot of the guys on the team went to Florida last year. That was DJ Lagway's first career start for Florida, so the guys got to experience that environment. Super loud crowd. Gainesville's pretty rocking. So I think those guys kind of get that cool experience, and then finishing off with Kyle Field at the end of the year will be pretty sweet. So it's kind of cool for those guys. And again, what kind of any positive momentum you kind of take out of this, whether especially offensively, even though they did put up 450 yards of offense last week, they only scored 13 points because that was due to a couple turnovers inside the red zone. So what kind of offensive momentum can you kind of get? What kind of positive can you kind of carry on, which will probably definitely be a loss before you have to go on the road to Western Carolina when you get back in the FCS slate. So again, probably what kind of confidence can they kind of glean, especially on the offensive side of the ball? Because I think the defense will play well and has played well over the first 2 games.
Oh, they're playing at A&M, not Texas Tech.
Sorry, A&M. Yeah, sorry.
I guess I misheard you there, but that's going to be one. That's going to be another fun game. You've been around at Samford for a while, right? Only working with covering the team for a couple of years, but you know, were you around when they won the SoCon, and what was that season? What did that season mean to the team and to the university and everything?
Yeah, it was a little bit. I went to Samford too. I graduated in 2019, so kind of got that early part. Like I mentioned, the Duck Hodges kind of era when they went down to Florida State, had some success in that game, and Mississippi State, same kind of successes too. But yeah, the season just like everything clicked, everything worked. Like the defense was okay, but the offense was just extremely high pace, like top 5 in scoring, top 5 in points and yards per game. So that season was pretty exciting to kind of give Samford what they've kind of been waiting for, kind of a culmination of everything kind of coming together at the right time, which included Samford's first Southern Conference outright title win in history, their first regular season conference title since like 1930s or something like that. So that season was pretty fun, and maybe scoring 50 points and you're winning is also pretty fun, especially when the offense can go out there and do what they do. So yeah, that season was pretty important, kind of like the camaraderie of kind of like the city and kind of bring everybody together. Because obviously we saw that too with Samford basketball the last few years with the Bucky McMillan era and how the city kind of grew into like enjoy and love the team. It's really cool when like one season can it can have that kind of impact. So it was awesome to see them kind of actually get that kind of momentum moving forward.
You mentioned Jaden Mosley, linebacker, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's his story? You said that's a special number, that's a special jersey.
Yeah.
How did he get it? And like, I guess, what does he mean to that defense overall?
Yeah, it's voted on by his teammates. So basically, a team captain, your teammates vote. And so we got to ask him about it at media days. He played it off, but he thought he knew how cool it was. Obviously, he wasn't going to talk about himself. A mild-mannered guy. He learned a lot last year watching Noah Martin. Both of those guys kind of in the middle of Samford defense, linebacker. Jaden was the second leading tackler last year with over 80 total tackles. He's the leading tackler so far this year. So it's cool kind of to have, even with Martin's departure, kind of cool of him kind of being that leader and kind of say, hey, guys, put the team on my back and follow me. So it's cool seeing that guy get that kind of recognition, becoming a leader, especially in his senior season.
I listening to Coach Hatcher, he just seems like a really good dude.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know, from the Baylor side of things, I know that he was teammates with offensive line coach Mason Miller.
That's
and
right,
I'm just, do you think that he appreciates kind of that history that he's had with, like you mentioned, some pretty big name coordinators? And like, do you think he's kind of satisfied with what he like his role in college football, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I think so. He's got a good kind of even keel. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's always super positive. Doesn't matter what happens. Like, okay, we're just gonna get the next play. We're gonna focus on what we need to do to get better. And so you can kind of tell. I think ESPN did a cool story on kind of his whole relationship with Kirby Smart a couple years ago. So it's cool kind of hearing those stories. Haven't gotten to ask him personally, but I'm sure he's got some crazy Mike Leach stories from back in the day and all those crazy stories. So I would think he's pretty happy, even though Samford has kind of been a good home for him. Again, he's the winningest coach in program history. He's coming into his 11th season. It's just been a lot of history. His son got to play for him and coach for him at Samford before. He's a GA at Georgia now after being in Oklahoma last year. So he's got a son in the profession. So I think it's just cool seeing the city, like at the 2022 season, kind of rally around him. So I think so for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'll end with this one. What do you expect from this team and this game against Baylor? What do you want to see from Samford and anything that they can accomplish against the Bears?
Yeah, it looks like Coach Aranda is a super nice guy. Everyone likes him. I hope he can be kind of nice and kind of even keel. Kirby Smart was nice when Samford went to Georgia a couple years ago. He's put up 33 points. He's like, okay, I don't need to blow him out, show it off. I know a Baylor, after kind of had the circus of last week beating SMU, probably wants a more even keel, kind of, okay, let's just go through the motions. No one gets hurt. We'll see if Michael Trigg, the tight end, plays, see what Sawyer Robertson plays. So it'll be cool to kind of see Sawyer kind of this environment, see him kind of grow over the season. But for Samford, it's just, again, what kind of positive momentum can they kind of take? Do they get in the end zone? Can they score? They got to score at Florida last year. And then, but they've had some success, not winning, but success in scoring points in some of these big time games. They went to Florida a couple years ago. They put up 42 first half points. That was in Dan Mullen's final season in Gainesville. So they've got some experience when it comes to scoring points in these games. So we'll see if they can kind of bring up some of that magic from before. But again, I think Samford, just try to find some positive momentum and see if you can get the end zone once or twice.
Great stuff. Well, Grant, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you coming on. Tell anybody in Waco where they can find you, where they can find your coverage, and where to go look out for all the stuff you make.
Yeah, sure. It's pretty lengthy, so I'll get into it. Samford Scoop accounts on Twitter and Instagram, State of the Bulldogs podcast on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And then we also have a website, stateofthebulldogs.com, which you can go check out some of our stuff. Sign up to our websites. Yeah, Samford Scoop on Twitter and Instagram are the main two places to go. And then you can find links to the podcast from there. So
beautiful. Well, appreciate you doing this. Have a great day.
For sure. Thanks, Zach. You too.